It's unfair for an athlete, in particularly in team sports, to let their confidence be ruined by results. And the reason why is because if you look at the grand scheme of things, in terms of being in the team, results are going to sway from left to right. You're going to win 19 in a row. In the case of Arsenal, you're going to lose two. You're going to lose maybe another one randomly. You might win one or two, and you might lose another one in a way. And so what I'm trying to say is that results are so varying, and it's going to be very harsh for your career to make your confidence be wavering as well. And I'm going to use an example in one of the footballing GOATs that many people say, and he's up there in the charts. The stats prove it in that regard. Jermaine Defoe, one of the most potent, dangerous strikers that you will get in our generation. And his performance or win ratio is something like, or his win record is won 185 games and he's lost 188 games. Now, in Jermaine Defoe's instance, if this man let the result affect his confidence, he wouldn't have been one of the most potent strikers in the Premier League history. And so it's important for you to make sure that you guard your own your confidence levels despite the results of your team. Now, that doesn't apply just to strikers, it applies to even goalkeepers as well. It applies to every single position in football. It applies to every single position in basketball and every single position in any form of team sports, even netball. Got the Netball World Cup coming this year, which is quite exciting. And so how can you keep your confidence levels maintained despite a defeat? Well, the first thing is that you have to kind of accept or separate rather a performance that is team-based and a performance that is individually based. Now, you know, your coach or your team is going to be having a team review. You're going to have team meetings where you reflect on the team's performance. There might be a highlight on an individual's performance here and there, but there's never going to be such a focus on an individual's performance than yourself and the people that are within the club. Maybe you got analysts, but there's never going to be a situation in a team setting where they're going to focus on your performance with great detail. And this is where you have to take your own performance and development into your own hands. So no matter the result that you have, yes, you have your team reflection and your team meetings to see on how you as a team can improve from match to match. But then it's important for you to have something equivalent and even more detailed about your own performance levels. Now, after a performance, it's important for you to take some time to reflect. Maybe not immediately after the game, because sometimes you're driven by emotions and how you feel, and you're going to be emotionally connected to the result as a team because you are a team player. However, maybe the day afterwards, or maybe even the day after that, it's important for you to sit down and really take some time to reflect on your performance. Now, if this is not a habit of yours now, it's not going to be very useful just sitting down and having to think or a daydream about the game that you just played in. It's going to be effective if you get your phone out, maybe if you get a notepad, if you get a pen and start writing down the things that you done well in that game, right? The things that you executed well. And that will be something that will highlight the positive elements of your game and maybe things that you want to be replicating in the next one. But then there's also things that you want to put down that you want to do a little bit less. So maybe there's a few bad habits that you executed during the game and you would want to replicate that a little bit less. And there's things that you would want to do more often. So there's things that you might have done, but it wasn't so frequent in the game that may have been a bit more of value to the team and their play and almost maybe even towards the result. But the three things that you want to be reflecting on is the things that you've done well. You've got to credit yourself. You've got to praise yourself. And that's something that you want to take some time doing, right? You also want to be reflecting on the things that you want to do less often. Because there's always things that we would want to do less often. Let's just say, even if it's just something as small as just making your mind just switch from the game and you're thinking about something else. You may be thinking about the crowd, or maybe thinking about the person who just gave you the toughest tackle you've had and you want to get them back. Maybe you want to do that a little bit less often. And then the third one is the things that you want to do a little bit more. Maybe you want to start making particular runs more. Maybe you want to check your shoulder more. Maybe you want to be doing something like that. And I use football references because that's my home. However, if you are in other team sports, try and convert that. So if you're in basketball, for instance, you want to be thinking about making some plays a little bit more often. Maybe you want to be thinking about what's the term? Screening your man more often. And so that's the things that will encapsulate an effective reflection. And then what will be even more positive is when you go into training, start trying to create those habits that you want to apply more often, and the things that you want to be doing less, and the thing that you've done so well, you want to be trying to replicate those elements that you want to perform in your next match in training. Because there's no way that you're going to have a miracle or a miraculous performance change in a week's time when you haven't really given it much thought in terms of how you want to improve and how you want to develop. There's a whole week of you really putting into the craft and grind and grafting as well that will contribute to performance changes the following week and the following week after that. So as an athlete, it's great being an athlete, it's great doing what you love, but you also have to take that professional approach essentially and really take matters into your own hands and take a bit of a selfish approach when your team may have a bad result. So once again, I'm not saying that you should neglect the team side, because the team side has to be done. It's the coach's responsibility to galvanize the team, to reflect as a team. So you take part in that. That's your duty. That's your duty. That's what you get paid for. But what you don't get paid for is your own responsibilities. And you have to take that upon yourself, take time to reflect on your performance and implement that in the week. That's just as important. And then build that momentum for the following week and the following matches. And I hope that adds value to you, and I look forward to seeing all the benefits. If it does add value to you, let me know. I want to hear the stories and the progressions, and let's just take this year by storm.